Hey guys, today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at how the IEM World Champions, TSM, were defeated by the mid-tier NA team, Team Gravity. Team Gravity brought out the new meta pick, Urgot Mid, into the LCS scene. So, without further ado, let's get this shit underway. Hey guys, so for the first part of this two-part series about this TSM versus Gravity game, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the pick and ban phase and how TSM ended up losing. So, first we have the Morgana ban from TSM. They are very known for playing Annie and Lissandra, so banning out Morgana was a good idea to have the opportunity to pick up that team comp. Next ban by Gravity, Nidalee ban. Santorin is notorious for his early game pressure with Nidalee, and if Gravity wants to have a strong mid game, this is a good ban to help them get through the laning phase without being ganked as much by Santorin's strong Nidalee. Hecarim in the top lane, super strong right now, great to ban out if you're not going to go for a lane swap, since he's a massive bully in the 1v1 top lane, plus those TP ganks are deadly as hell. Sivir, very common pickup from TSM. They love the Sion and Sivir teamfight combo, so banning that shuts out one of their main team comps. Sejuani, super overpowered right now. If you don't plan on first picking her, it's a good idea to just straight away ban her. Annie, great ban to take away from TSM since Gravity won't have the protection for Morgana's Black Shield. Also, Lustboy is notorious for having a great Annie as well. Rek'Sai first pick here, still a very strong jungler all around, good at almost all points in the game. Strong pick for TSM since it won't give away their team comp or be countered easily. Mayo, great tank, very strong if you need a tank in the mid game since he scales up so unbelievably fast, and with that passive, it's very easy for him to stay alive, especially if you have people, casters, AD carries in the mid game who are just spamming abilities in your face so you can keep resetting that passive. Thresh, standard support, great catching potential at all points in the game. Becomes an off tank later into the game. Also Bunny Fufu's best support, and you'll see why in part 2, later in team fights. Zed is a standard pickup by TSM. Very obvious, but still very strong at getting those solo kills on him. His skill cap on Zed is remarkable, and it's very good at killing targets with opposing teams having great peel like Maokai and Thresh for instance. Lulu, great utility for the mid game, can make your allies too tanky for enemies to kill in the early stages of the game, also great for securing kills with that speed boost and slow. Also the poly is great for getaways and just CC in general. Corki, one of the strongest mid game AD carries out right now. With his mixed damage, you can't really itemize against him very well, or even much at all in the mid game. Good pick against Zed, since you can just stay back and spam those missiles if you don't want to get Zed ulted, and just stay out of the range of it, that easy. Nunu, great at getting those early dragons and getting that Baron control. For the Gravity comp, it's good for them to start getting those dragon controls because it seems like they're going for a mid-game team comp, and with those dragons they're able to scale very well into the late game. So Nunu, all-around great pick right here. Lucian, also a strong pick in the mid game. Like Corki, scales better but has a worse early game. So you're trading the good early game of Corki for the better early game of Lucian. So this rounds out the team comp of TSM as a mid-game team that scales well into the late game, something TSM is very comfortable with playing and does do a lot. Mundo, now being picked up for TSM, definitely the best late-game scaling tank in the game right now. Not that great picked into Thresh and Nunu, but still a strong pick since TSM really needs the front line. Now the last surprising pick coming from Gravity. Urgot Mid, there it is. Great versus Zed and squishy team comps. It's actually not a troll pick. It's very good in this situation. Can build armor very easily versus TSM's full AD team comp. And his power spike is at the same time as Corki, making them an almost unstoppable team in the mid game. So, now let's take an overview of the teams. TSM has a high damage Mid-game team that scales well into the late game with Mundo and Zed for great split pushing. But with a full AD team comp, they will need to get very ahead in the early and mid game, which just won't happen versus Corki and Urgot, and a Maokai who's very hard to gank. This is half the reason why Gravity is able to defeat TSM. Gravity, on the other hand, great early game, fantastic mid game, with a large mix of AP and AD damage coming from everywhere. Tanks like Mayo and Nunu who are able to get tanky fast, and big in the mid game to defend those two high damage powerhouses of Corki and Urgot. It just makes them an unstoppable team in the mid and scales very well into the late game if they're able to get those dragons and get those barons. Otherwise, not as good as TSM in the late game, but I believe that they'll be able to get those advantages. In summary, TSM lost pretty hard in the pick and ban phase, coming up with a full AD team comp that is almost directly countered by Gravity's lineup, since they have the Urgot, great versus Zed, making him almost useless in teamfights, Mayo and Nunu, which are great frontline tanks, will help you secure those dragons in the early game to help you have a better late game, get beefy fast for the mid game, and also do well against Mundo, who doesn't have any slow resistances. So, it seems like the only way TSM could have won this game would be if they had some cheeky early game plays so that they had a big lead in early game and they were able to start killing Gravity before they can start building the massive amount of armor they ended up having in the mid to late game. Or they could have also drawn out the game into late game and hoping that Zed can save them by split pushing to gain back a gold lead. Well, Gravity, on the other hand, just needs to not lose in the early game and to get a dragon lead, and they're pretty much set for the early, mid, and late game versus TSM. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this advanced analysis of the TSM versus Gravity game pick and ban phase. So, I once again thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do what you want to do, and I'll be uploading the next video tomorrow. See you later, guys.